So at this point in the course, you should have a good sense of what your study looks like, how you recruit your participants, how to communicate with participants and collaborators, and how to keep track of participation. This week, we will zoom in on the future. So what will your data look like, and what can you do now to help you future yourself and others who may use your data? Anticipating data is all about doing your best right now to make life for future you as easy as possible. And that means two things. First, making sure that you don't need to do work twice. And second, that you and others understand what you did in the first place. It is worth putting in more time and energy right now in order to prevent mistakes and regrets later on. For example, giving clear instructions to participants or research assistants mean that you won't have to exclude as many participants from your analyses later on. Realize that you will never be able to plan out everything. Things can always turn out different, and you may learn things along the way. So be prepared, but also know that you can never be prepared for everything. Because every data collection is different. There is no one-size-fits-all solution that makes sure that you don't make any mistakes at all. But by thinking about the future right now, you can already prevent a lot of things that you would otherwise regret later. So think about how you will be using your data later on at every step along the way. So in this course, we will work on anticipating data in 4 steps. So first we take a look at piloting data, which will come in handy for all of the 3 steps as well. Next, we take a look at data management, metadata such as codebooks, and lastly at data cleaning. These different topics will be addressed in the next videos. First way to anticipate your future data is by piloting your data. You should always test your instrument before using it in your actual data collection. Piloting your instrument prevents you from issues that may arise during data collection, such as confusion about questions or instructions, or even dropouts. But it can also prevent issues after data collection. For example, you can use your pilot data to test how you would clean the data, how you would store the data, and if you can analyze the data in the ways that you plan to. Piloting data usually consists of at least 2 phases. First, you test the instruments among your peers, your fellow PhD students. And then you test the instruments in a sample that is very similar to your target sample. Optionally, you may also pilot the training that you give to your students or assistants who will help you with the data collection. Another important step of data anticipation is data management, which is all about how and where you store your data, and this needs to adhere to laws and guidelines. You usually write this down in a research data management protocol, which is important for now, for future you, and for collaborators in open science. When thinking about where to store our data, we need to think about privacy and accessibility. As we're often dealing with sensitive data, we need to protect it, which might mean that you can only store it on servers based in Europe, for example. Utrecht University has a team of data management experts who can help you find the best solution for your situation. In addition to where you store your data, also think about who has access to your data or who may need it in the future or who has had it in the past. And if for some reason you are no longer able to access the data yourself, is there somebody else who can? Also think about how you store your data. So don't just dump all your files in one folder, but create a clear structure, especially if you have a lot of complex data. This helps to, it helps to create metadata as well. So this is any kind of data that describes data. That includes descriptions of data sets, experiments, recruitment, participant information, dropouts, communication materials, data cleaning logs, etc., etc. The most common type of metadata is the codebook. A codebook is basically an overview of all your data collection procedures and variables that summarizes the resulting data set. This means that the most important information on your data is stored in one place and can be easily shared. Codebooks are very useful for future you, but also for current or future collaborators who are interested in using your data for secondary data analysis. So remember that someone you have never met should be able to read your codebook and get a good idea of what your dataset looks like, what the numbers in it mean, and where to find additional information. I recommend that you start your codebook before you start actual data collection and keep updating it with new information as it comes up throughout the process of data collection. It's an ongoing process, so keep track of any changes that you make over the waves. Most people I know just use Word to create their codebooks because it's simply simple and widely available, and it's quite flexible. In your codebook, you should include both general information about your project and about your data set as a whole, as well as measure-specific information about every single questionnaire that you administered. This could also involve information about other types of measurements than questionnaires, such as saliva samples. So do not include any personal information on participants because you are going to share it with other people. When anticipating data, also anticipate the data cleaning that you'll be doing afterwards, as it can take a lot of time, partly because we didn't always anticipate all the steps we needed to take to get to usable data. So use your pilot data to see which parts of the data cleaning process you can prevent by making small changes in your data collection procedure, such as correctly naming or labeling variables in your questionnaire software, or checking audio and video quality. When data cleaning, stay on top of your work by keeping track of what you do using syntax and logbooks, and prioritize the things that you're going to need first and what can be done later. And always remember to back up your files frequently.